Work meeting. Microphone on here. First item on the agenda is introduction of new employees. Looks like we might have some new employees tonight, possibly. Go ahead and come on up to the microphone and state your name and a little background and what your position is.
I am Nevaeh Hassel. I live here in Bemidji. I just started at the Beltrami County Jail about a week ago, and long-term plan is to become a deputy for the sheriff's office.
Oh, great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Molly Seidler. I'm from Merrill, Wisconsin. I've been here for a little over a week now, and I'm starting at the Beltrami County Jail. And long-term, I hope to work at the BCA.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Vinny Tesh. I'm originally from Bemidji, just moved back here actually Sunday. I've been in Fargo the last 5 years, but moving back now. Today was my first official day with Beltrami County Sheriff's Office, and long-term goal, I want to be a deputy with Beltrami County.
Great. Welcome back, Vinny.
Hi, my name is Elliot Logan. I'm from Bagley, moved to Bemidji about a year ago. I started at the jail there about a month ago, and I don't know long-term yet. Undecided.
Great. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you. My name is Jason Adams. I'm with the sheriff's office as a bailiff. Been there 2 weeks now. My wife and I recently relocated to north central Minnesota. We live in Walker. We've been here about 2 years. And I come from Lincoln, Nebraska with a 26-year background in law enforcement.
Great. Welcome aboard.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hawk. I work at the records office. I've actually been here for a year and a little bit. I came from 20 years of banking.
Well, great. Thank you. Yep.
I just have a quick question for all the new employees. Did the sheriff or Calandra warn you that you were going to have to do this ahead of time? Welcome to you all. Thanks for joining us at Beltrami County.
Do we have any others, or is that it? Okay, great. Thank you. And next item on the agenda is our identifying of future work meeting topics. Okay. Commissioner Sumner.
Mr. Chair, so I think it was last meeting, we had an update from the county engineer, Bruce, in regards to some roads. And this past week, we've met with some townships. I'm just kind of wondering maybe what our next steps are if we want to get a report on that, or what Bruce has came up with since the last meeting. You know, there's some.
Administrator Barry, are you familiar with I know he had a draft policy for the dust control with some options for the townships. Commissioner Sumner and I attended a meeting at Taylor Township and had some feedback on looking for some more data and so on. Just wondering what our next step is, and if we need to have a work session topic set up for that to discuss it as a board, or where that's at.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Sumner or Mr. Chair. You certainly could have another work session if you'd like on it. My understanding, though, was the direction that the board gave to Bruce was to directly take those three options and try to attempt to come up with some sort of agreement between the townships that had concerns, utilizing those three options. And the reason that was because, as I recall in the last meeting, we had decided that we didn't want to do a one-size-fits-all blanket approach by choosing an option at the county level and then forcing it upon all of those townships. So that's what Bruce is going to be doing at this point in time, is to take those three options that were narrowed down by the board and essentially go and discuss them with each of the townships to try to get some sort of an agreement on how they'd like their roads maintained going forward.
Okay, I think the challenge that we have there is that after Commissioner Sumner and I attended that meeting, there's some question about the accuracy of the numbers, and the townships would like to, see actual numbers on how much the road maintenance costs versus how much the calcium chloride costs. Is it actually going to cost the townships more money, or and do we as a board, if we don't have a good way of of determining that. Do we actually need to charge them more for not doing the calcium chloride? I know there's gonna be residual effects for probably multiple years of the calcium chloride treatment. It's not like it just immediately goes away and so on. So just, that's the part that I'm probably the most concerned with is, getting those details and facts and making sure that the townships feel comfortable, that they're making decisions based on the facts.
Sure, and thank you for that, Mr. Chair. And based on some information that was shared with me after that meeting that you're recalling, that information was shared with the highway engineer and also a contractor in particular. And that information is also is available to those townships that Bruce is supposed to be sharing that with them. There are some misunderstandings about how the county charges for blading services, as an example, because the amount per mile that we charge for blading
And that wasn't meant to, sorry to interrupt you, but that wasn't meant to be an exact deal. We very much understood that, just using that as a real rough example. That the calcium chloride treatment is basically 5 times that amount. So knowing that $850 a mile isn't gonna be what our true cost is,
Right.
but having it be 5 times more cost than that, just to break even with calcium chloride, that's the part that is under concern in my mind, and I think others potentially too.
Sure.
So wanting to get more accurate numbers on it.
Well, I'll follow up with the county engineer and make sure that we've got those numbers as tight as we can, and then share those with the board offline, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then you can share them with your township constituents, or if we need to, we could have another work session. We'll just bring the townships in and have the discussion on that.
That sounds good. Anybody else on the board have a concern or question about that, or?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other suggestions or concerns about future work community topics? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Northern Waters Land Trust Certificate of Recognition. Ooh, we got Shane here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So I'm Shane Foley, Director of Natural Resources Department. Just quickly, wanted to present to you, the Northern Waters Land Trust had dropped this off for me to give to you guys just in recognition of the partnership. The Northern Waters Land Trust received a grant to acquire 286 acres of land that Potlatch used to own. They've now donated that over to the county. And they did a kind of a newspaper blurb, and it was on the radio as well. But as I mentioned in that blurb, it comes at a really good time because this is all early rotation pine. It's already established. It's already outside of deer browse, all of those things. We lost 80 acres in a fire, all pine. We lost thousands of acres of pine in this last windstorm. So as chance might have it, it provides kind of a replacement for, it's about 250 of the acres are all that early rotation pine. So comes at a good time, but board chair, I could just bring
Sure.
this up. And
Great, thanks, Shane. What's the, where's this acreage located?
About half of it's in Eccles Township, about half of it's in Ten Lake Township. It's 2 blocks.
Okay, I thought there was some in my district that we had received from that, and that didn't get leveled by the storm?
No,
Okay, that's a miracle.
a very small part of the Ten Lake Township, but none of the plantation pine did, so.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. It's like the log frame there too. We'll have to figure out where we can put that, Administrator Barry.
Yeah, they were good partners to work with, and they appreciated you guys too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move on to review of the Bemidji Area Ski Club lease agreement. Who's that? You also, Shane?
So that's me again. I just have a brief PowerPoint presentation, and then if you guys have any questions about it, I'm here. Representatives from the ski club are also here. But so this storage facility, here we go. Just a brief timeline. Back in November 21st, 2023, before I was on board, the board did approve a resolution to partner with the ski club on this project. Then a little bit later, June 24th, started working with the ski club on actually locating that building and how it would be laid out. Then fast forward a year later, part of the holdup on this was we're doing the shared storage building for the county, Brent's office, myself, Steve. And so we've been kind of figuring out where that building is going to be located. And since it's co-located with the ski club building, there was some moving parts that had to be figured out on our end. Ski club was very gracious about being patient till we got ours figured out. So we got that finished in early July, and then by late July, the ski club had finalized the location of their building. It's gone through several revisions over the last year and a half or so, but I think the end result is something that works out well for everyone. Then in August, well, this month, all the site layout work and the building plan was provided to us by the ski club. So here you can see the location where that ski club building is going to be. It's not going to fill up that entire area, but that's about 1/3 of an acre that's highlighted there. It's right by the impound lot, just to the north, you can see is the highway department. So the shared storage building that the county is building is just north of that driveway. Originally, the ski club was going to be just west of our storage building on the north side of the driveway. But eventually there's plans to maybe secure that location a little bit better, to have a fence blocking off part of the access to the highway department property, along with the need for the ski club to use that north access road. It just became, there just wasn't a good solution that fit in that area. So the ski club had asked is the area south of the driveway available? And we kind of looked at it and they put a plan together and it seems like it works pretty well. So here's what the building's gonna look like approximately. And here's an actual layout then of the building. So you can see they utilizing that half moon shaped driveway. It access on an existing access road off Adams Avenue, pull down through in through their building, kind of wrap back out. So all the turning radiuses and all of those things have been figured out by Friedberg and Grund already, and the building will work for their needs. So the purpose of coming to you, not only to have you approve where the final location of that building is, but also to enter into this lease agreement with the ski club. So a couple highlights from that lease. It's a 30-year lease with the option to extend the lease for an additional 30 years. It's a lease at $1 a year. So the county won't provide any financing for construction and no ongoing maintenance of the site, except that when we're mowing our site, it made sense to have the mower just swing through and mow their site as well. So we will be mowing the site. There won't be any outside storage of the equipment for long periods of time. Ski club's paying for insurance of the structure. And then upon termination of that lease, whether at the end of the 30 years or 60 years, the building becomes property of Beltrami County for whatever our uses would be for that building at that point. So it's kind of all I have. If you have any questions, I can take them now, but.
Questions from the board? Commissioner Carlson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just curious if, is that close to any of the trails? So can you get right from there right to a trail or not?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, sure. If you want to come up, Mark. Oh, and
Actually, it's Mark Walters. I'm the trail administrator for the Bemidji Cross Country Ski Club. The location is very centralized. It's probably within 5 minutes of the city Montebello Trail System, maybe 5 minutes from the high school Lumberjack Trail System. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes could get us just about anywhere else. The reality is it's about as close as a storage as we've ever had. But the proximity works out awesome for us because we're closer to more maintenance places, you know, your L&M Fleet Farms and your gas stations and things like that. So, yes, it is in proximity.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Shane or anybody? No. So
I should also add the ski club's been a great partner for many years. There's miles and miles of trails that they maintain for us through our park system and other places as well. The lease has been gone through by county attorney, Steve, county administrator. There's been several people, Bruce, have all weighed in on the location of the the building. So it's kind of been vetted by a lot of different people. So,
And the issues, any and all issues have been finalized and worked out at this point?
yeah, it seems that way.
Okay,
Coming due for the final blessing.
okay. Great. Well, thank you, Shane.
Yep, thank you, guys.
All right, moving along. Park Place is not able to be here, correct, Commissioner Barry or Administrator Barry?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
So we will move on. They had illness or something where they were not able to attend tonight. So we move on to the jail project update and recommendations. This will be a little bit lengthier one anyways.
While the team is coming up, I'll just introduce, we have some exciting news to share with you tonight. We've taken this presentation, divided it into two parts. The first part will be just a standard quarterly update that we've been providing to the board as it relates to the the new jail project over there on Pioneer Avenue or Road. So that will be the first part of the presentation. We'll talk to you about give you some pictures, show you the scope and the schedule, where we are in budget. And then we'll take a pause and answer any questions you have on the new construction. And then we'll jump into the existing facility and share with you what we've been doing on that and what the recommendation is from the design and operations team. So without further ado, we'll kick it off to the team.
Sounds good, thank you. And welcome us back. Been a little bit, I think, since we did our last quarterly update. I was trying to recall, I think it was prior to us actually getting started possibly on the site, so we have some good progress, the sites, and hopefully we're sending out, Aaron and Gary do a good job sending out weekly updates, and hopefully those go well. Aaron's here, he's our project engineer. I don't know if he's actually formally met you folks, but he's kind of helping us day to day on the project. And Aaron, I don't know if you want to talk through a couple of the slides and just give a quick, here's where we're at right now. Gary was going to try to join us as well, our superintendent, for you all to meet, and he might come in soon, but yeah, we'll kind of run through this quick and then get into some of the other items.
Yeah, just a brief schedule review. Started construction the week of 3/31. Tell up there we had some snow on site. Kind of made some progress, started getting some earthwork taken care of that time. Fast forward about 2 weeks later, we just started getting some major excavation work going through. We got some entrances established. We started digging for footings, foundation walls, and that was a great undertaking. This is a big help to get that jump right away, so get the frost over the ground and proceed according like that.
Get that clicker, I think, on the table there, unless Diane's doing it, but that for flipping through the slides here. Yep.
Week of 6/2, we started to really getting heavy with foundational walls. Started forming up some rebar. We got them poured. We got some damp proofing taken care of. A lot of dirt work was going back and forth just to kind of make room for how our schedule and how our layout kind of proceeded accordingly. Fast forward to the month of July, you can see a good drone photo of the progress. It started, so we worked sort of throughout area A, working toward area C, so getting everything taken care of for a major milestone for precast coming at a later date. So then again, dirt crews, our concrete crew, they really did a well job with that. Then earlier this month, we started studying precast. That was fun. It's really crazy to see how fast that comes along. So all the time and effort that we're scheduling beforehand to get them poured on off-site, just to show up the site, like I said, about 14 panels a day, and then really makes said progress come along nicely.
Yeah, actually, precast started right on time. Before, actually, ahead of schedule. In our early planning and early scheduling, we were looking at probably early this month, kind of an August 1 start. We were able to actually move them up to mid-July, so July 14 is when they arrived. Gary Francisco's our on-site superintendent. Day-to-day boots on the ground there. I know we'll probably chat a little bit and try to set up a site tour with the commissioners whenever you wish, let us know. Gary would be the person to contact, and we'll set up a time to walk you all through that. So precast went really, really well, is going well. Gary can probably give you maybe just a quick 20-second synopsis of area A, B, working into C right now.
Sure. Yeah, so currently, as far as precast, we're set on the south side, area A, west to east. Actually, the first bay in area C, the high bay with the gym, that's also set. That includes roof plank, floor plank. Well, actually, there's no floor plank there. But then, currently, we're back on the north side, northwest corner, area B, the high portion of that. Actually, we've got the precast walls set, the steel in there. That's the area where we have the two cells, one on each floor. So we do have the floor plank set there now. Just finished that up this morning. Tomorrow, we're gonna set the double T roofs on that high portion. So precast wise, we're really cruising along, and now we're building our way to the east on the single story portion of area A, basically from that stairway slash, it's right next to the electrical room that drops down there, and then it's single story to the east from there. So that's our precast, and we're just gonna keep moving east, kind of flopping the iron worker and the precaster, kind of contingent on one another to get the roof plank on and all that. Inside area A west, we do have the underground plumbing done there. We actually have it done in the next bay to the east. And we're currently working in the last bay in area A on underground plumbing. We've got the shallow footings poured in the first or west quadrant of A. The shallow footings are all poured in there. We've got electricians in there now, stubbing up where the masonry walls are. Thursday, Friday, we're gonna mobilize the block layers in that area to get our 1.5 course up the slab on grade level next week. And electricians should be done about then as well. So then we're gonna bring in the earth worker. He can start doing his final grading before slab work. We're planning on our first slab pour. We'll probably do the first 2 quadrants in A. Wait till we get that much. And we'll do those, I'm gonna say mid-September. Which we'll be able to start slab. On the roof, we've got parapet blocking going on this week. Next week, we're gonna start actual roofing is the plan.
Skylight framing.
Skylight framing's going on up there right now. Also, the rest of our mechanical stuff, the mechanical curbs for the big units are gonna go up on Monday. This week, yeah, we'll get the roof drain set and the venting through the roof in that first portion of A, working our way to the east. So coming right along, going really well.
Yeah, if you back up one slide here on that upper right picture, I think tells a pretty good story, and thank you to the sheriff's department for flying a drone last week and getting that. But you can see the outline of the rest of the foundations that are ready for wall panels. So we're probably 45% set with panels.
I'm gonna say 6 weeks, we should be set out with panels. Hopefully, all goes well. Right now, we're projected to have the roof done that first week in December. So
Nice.
that's another huge milestone. You know, once we get building envelope, then it's off to the races inside, so it'll go really well.
So
It's
Gary,
going really well.
On that previous slide there, the lower left picture, the gaps in the precast on the south side of the building, is that where the steel cells will go in through then? Is that correct?
Yeah, we have 6 holdout panel
Okay.
locations. And that's 3 of them.
The cells are scheduled to go in November.
Yeah, the next slide mentions that, I think, and yeah. So heating, the roof will be more or less on, it won't be dropping them down through the roof, it'll be coming through the side, so you'll be able to start getting it heated for the working in the winter.
Yes, absolutely. And like Gary said, there's the one area that actually it sits on 2 different floors, so
Right.
you couldn't frame them in if you wanted.
Oh, right, yep.
And that's on B, but the other areas that are double stacked, they'll put them right outside of those openings on a landing pad, stacked too high, and then they'll push them in and roll them in place.
They
Great.
will, yeah, they'll stack them outside and roll 2 at a time, yeah.
Okay. How heavy are they? Do you have any idea?
That-
How heavy is each cell? You have any idea?
Yeah, I want to say the heaviest, maybe
5,500 pounds, give or take.
Oh, not terribly heavy then. I mean, well, like my pickup.
Moving relatively quick.
Okay.
Within a couple weeks span, you'll see, 140 boxes or whatever it is. Stacked,
Yeah.
delivered and installed, so.
What did Rob and Noah this morning, I think, said they like to set about 24, 25 a day. Well, not 24.
It goes with.
Yeah,
That's
great.
fast.
I'll go ahead and keep going there. I was just curious about
Yeah.
that.
Track, if not, right now slightly ahead of schedule, which is great. We're on the mark to reach our general enclosure for fall and winter months, and yes, getting closed, start heating, work through the winter months. Ultimately working forward through next year and into the following winter to get things ready and commissioned and turned over only in 27. So things are going really, really well.
Very
Good
buy-in
team, good
to the
crews.
Contracts. We've had plenty of pre-installation conference. Oh, we had one yesterday on the slab on grade concrete. Good discussion, but 45 minutes. I get Danielle and her team and these guys and just walking through the little things on what we gotta get done and how something's gonna get cured or where the saw cuts are. So, but we've had multiple, including Mason, including the precast. There'll be another one with the detention when the sales come. So.
All the product and everything, no back orders or everything coming in on schedule?
Seems to be, pretty
Yeah.
well.
Great.
One thing I will say is.
Yeah.
One thing that makes my job easy is when we have really good contractors
Mhm.
and really good foremen. So far to date, I mean, we've really created a strong team out there. Everybody's working together and teamwork is key, so going really well that way
That's good.
so
Yeah.
far. Obviously, we don't have all the contractors on board yet, but.
Well, they're on board. They're not on site.
A lot of major ones. though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
tip of the hat, really, those that have been on site thus far, they've really knocked it out of the park and done well and set us up to where we're at today.
Is there outside finishing work, painting or stucco work or anything like that that needs to get done late in the project on the outside, or is the precast is already what it's gonna be?
Finish on the precast is finished.
It is,
There might
okay.
be Exterior bollards, some steel angle trim, that type of.
Okay.
Door painting.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Nothing.
But the panels themselves are pre-finished.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very minimal.
They'll do a final wash on them before we turn over.
okay,
Probably 98% is no need to touch it again.
okay.
Yep.
Great. Any other commissioners have any questions on this part? Commissioner Sumner, no?
I guess I'm not too sure when to ask the question, but there was an invitation to for the board to come and tour. I know that usually in the fall time, the board takes a road tour. I don't know if we can combine the two or not.
We usually spend most of the day on the road tours. We probably want to do a different day than that. Unless we took a really quick tour of the jail, but
I don't know, it's a suggestion. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to give up 2 days for.
Yeah.
So, just a thought.
Yep.
From Gary's perspective, Friday mornings would probably be a really good time if it worked for the commissioners. It's a little bit more lower paced on a Friday morning.
Yeah, a lot of the subs are working 410, so. But Friday morning would be a good day. I mean, anyway, I can run people through, I suppose, just about any time. And obviously, whatever's gonna work for you guys,
Okay.
we should be able to make work. But Friday morning would be the.
What time in the project schedule? I mean, I'd like to see when there's maybe had at least a few of the jail cells set and some maybe just a hair further along than what we are right now. I mean, it's,
Late November, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah.
November.
Okay.
Although we want to see what's from.
Yeah.
Every one of these cells have a plumbing connection and on the conduit that's
Yeah.
electrically that's going to control, so
hmm
quite a bit.
yeah, that'd be interesting to see too. Yep. Okay.
A mile on the ground this week, so, yeah.
Huh. Great.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
I might just suggest that since the board has a little additional time after the presentation, you could spend some of that time discussing when you'd like as a board to go through the facility. It's actually really great to go through the facility during construction.
Mhm.
And you wouldn't want to waste your time seeing things that you've seen over or seeing things that aren't very consequential. So based on the timeline and with our consultants and engineers here, we could maybe work up a schedule that
Sure.
says like every, 4 months or every whatever, we'll actually have a meeting on site. The thing is, if we bring the whole board, we have to notice the meeting, of
Mhm.
course. But I would suggest maybe contemplating that at the end of the presentations and seeing if that's something we can, as a design and operations team, kind of work up and invite you to attend on a more frequent basis.
Sounds good. Thank you. Go ahead and keep on
Sounds good.
moving.
Financially, this is just our kind of one-page recap. We'll continue to give you quarterly or monthly, either way. We certainly do share with the design and development operations group. We're on track. Everything's fine. We have executed change order number 1. We talked about actually at our last update to you with some initial cost savings. There was some value management things that made sense, did not impact quality or scope of the project. It was some good moves to save a few dollars. That has been executed. And then there's a series of other changes from state plan review comments and other items. You might recall the skylight issue that we talked about last time. That's forthcoming. So that's kind of ball left in the roughly, 380 to 400 current pending changes that are forthcoming. But I always look at the bottom dollar. How are we sitting on contingency? We're still, based on this current forecast, at about 2.3 million of your contingency dollars remaining. Take us through the project. If I think about how far we're at today, we've gotten out of the ground. We've gotten a lot of that building up, 40%. We're in pretty good shape.
Great. And that additional 2,000, that would be essentially more contingency, the sales tax money that we'll get back?
Yeah, that's entirely up to you guys. We still showed that as a snapshot down below. It's a forecast at the time based on what the bidding environment had told us. But yeah, I mean, your dollars as that comes back to you through those tax savings.
Okay.
Yep, Mr. Chair, if I could just opine about that. We've been having some fun with that $2 million about where it goes. And we are intending for that to come back to the county as either an offset to lower the bond and secondary bond issuance, or to potentially have the bond be paid off earlier. So either of those two things. Now, of course, it is your money. You can use that for whatever you like. And if we do end up in a drastic situation, it could be used for contingency. But right now, we're trying to keep it off the table for contingency, which is why KA has done a nice job of separating out that amount from the true contingency we have in the project.
I probably shouldn't have used the term contingency. Basically, it would be, if we needed it, or if we end up for whatever reason chose a different option for the old jail facility, it potentially could be used for that as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
So we're reporting those savings monthly with each pay application comes through. So, we've got a snapshot in time of where those dollars are sitting. I think you're allowed up to twice annually to submit to the state for reimbursement of that. When the timing is right, Mr. Berry has been, very watchful and helpful in guiding, when that process it could be the next month or two. I think we're trying to get to maybe a $500,000 threshold before you consider that first submittal.
Great.
Okay. Any other questions financially?
I'm happy. We're on track, on or under budget.
Yeah, on schedule, if not ahead. And on budget.
Yep.
Well, that's a good lead in now to what happens next. So we've been talking about the new jail. Obviously, you've got an existing jail that needs some consideration of what becomes of it once you're moved into the new facility, and how to set up transport to the court judicial center. I don't know, Mr. Berry, if you want to do a lead in on this, or Danielle's here to kind of help talk through some of the studies that we've been going through as a group with the DNO folks on what to consider.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen. Maybe just a couple things before we begin. We'll start the next slide here if that's okay. But I do want to second Stephen and Gary and the team's sentiments about having a good team. This so far has gone remarkably well. I've worked on a lot of very large construction projects in my career, and to be this far along, this fast, under budget, on schedule, on a major complex project is impressive so far. And I'm just hopeful we can keep this schedule, we can keep the cost and everything just as they are now. But I'm very impressed. I think the county's done well to assemble this team, and it's been a real pleasure to work with them. They're very professional and have done a fantastic job so far, I think, for the county. That being said, wanted to talk through a little bit as we transition from the discussion on the existing jail to what we've been doing, or excuse me, on the new jail, to what we've been doing on the existing jail. And I wanted to start first by talking about how we've teed up this project. Of course, all of our effort went into initially, hiring the right engineer, the construction manager, doing the contracts, getting the design, working with the community even long before that to figure out what are the 7 options we were going to pursue, all of that sort of stuff. We've been very diligent and deliberate about each step we've taken along the way. And then we put all of the time into focusing on the construction of the new jail. And once we got that underway, we then turned our attention and our resources to working on what to do with the existing jail. And so that work really officially kind of started late last year, and really kind of culminated in some contracts being let early in this year. The first one was one that we did to facilitate a building condition assessment. That is an assessment that we had done on the existing jail to identify the condition of the state of that facility, everything from foundation to roof to the siding, windows, doors, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, the whole 9 yards. And so from that information, which took several months to gather, we used it to inform the development of several options that we work with the board on. And we engaged the architect, which is the same architect that's been working, of course, Klein McCarthy, on the new jail. And we started sort of honing out the different ideas of these concepts. And we came up with 3 general options. I'll share those with you in just a moment. And then from there, we needed to have cost estimates generated and refine the architectural concepts with better information around costs. Initially, we had promised the board that we would deliver 3 options. I think in the end, the design and operations team came up with something like 8 or 9 options. Most of them fit into the categories, the 3 major categories that we discussed. But we had several variations of each of those design options. We have since worked hard over the last several months to narrow down those options back to the original 3, giving you what we believe are the best 3 options of that we promised. So from that, we did refine the construction cost estimates based on those designs, and then work through the design operations team just to finalize and proof that information. So the 3 concept options were, fully remodeling the existing jail. What does that look like? What would be involved? What kind of system upgrades will we need to do? But essentially it involved leaving the entire shell of the jail, pulling out the cells, and refurbishing the interior to something like a Class A office space type of environment. Of course, we'll share with you as we talk through that particular concept, the pros and cons, and some of the opportunities and detriments, as we will with all of the options. But that was at least the full remodel option that we had promised to share with you. Option 2 was sort of partial demolition or removal, and also partial remodel. So it was recognizing that we probably don't need the whole facility, or if we didn't utilize the whole facility, is there a portion that we could save? And we focused a long time on discussions about what portion of the jail to save, and that created lots of variations in the end. The idea of saving the newest portion, which is the kitchen remodel, the administrative remodel, all of that seemed to make the most sense. So we'll share that option with you. And then option 3 is the full removal, essentially just kind of demo the entire facility. And let's see kind of what that looks like and what the costs are associated with that. In each of these three models, we needed to do something with the Sally Port. That means, you know, the facility, the place where we actually accept inmates into the court system. And so as these options are discussed, we'll be sharing sort of the benefits and changes that are associated with the Sally Port in each of those options as well. So I would suggest now that we're going to go into the specific detail of each of these options, and probably best to do that would be our architect, Danielle, and maybe Stephen as well, as it relates to costs and those types of things. But Danielle will walk you through kind of the general layout, what was considered, square footage impacts, those sorts of things. We'll get to costs at the end. We'll get to benefits and or pros and cons, and then we'll get to the design and operation team's recommendation.
Hi, good afternoon. All right, so looking at option one, we're gonna go through each level of the facility as we look at each of the options. The option one for the full remodel, you can see different colors up here. We wanted to indicate which areas could be remodeled if you wanted to lease out the space or remodel it for office building. But you can see the pink area is essentially the usable space that we could gut out. So it wouldn't be structural, it wouldn't be mechanical or electrical. And so that was really important for us to evaluate this particular option. So that's the color differentiation. The other consideration was utilizing the existing tunnel connecting to the Justice Center. So utilizing that would maintain the similar operations of this building. The point though in making the existing transition between the tunnel would require the stair and elevator to be shared with whoever would use the rest of the space. And so that was something we looked at and vetted each of the options in terms of the circulation. All right, so looking at first level. So one of the goals of each of the options was to ensure that there was sufficient space within the vehicle Sally Port. And so the transport vehicle size was important in terms of getting it all the way in, making sure we could have all the doors open, and any transfer of inmates to court would be safely handled. In the existing garage, it's just not long enough to support that goal. And so in this option, the desire would be to expand the existing garage. And you can see on the north side, there's a hatched mark. And so that would be a proposed expansion of this building to enable an expansion of that vehicle Sally Port. The yellow is indicating that would be potential public circulation. So we acknowledge there'd be a lobby, there'd be stair access, and that shared elevator access. And then the second level is showing proposed bathrooms in green as an option. And again, the pink showing the leasable space. And then wanted to acknowledge there is a mezzanine level in the existing jail. And so because it's more of a half level, in this option, the proposal would be to remove those cells and just incorporate that into the second level. So it'd just be of a higher volume within that space. I think it's worth noting, and we'll get into it when we talk about the budget on this one, but the existing evaluation did determine a lot of the mechanical and electrical systems would need to be upgraded. And so that would be a part of this particular option. Window replacement would also need to occur. The existing windows are detention grade. And so if you were going to convert it to an office building, that would be an important part of the renovation process. Did I miss anything in option one?
Adding
Anything with the elevator?
yeah, a new elevator and possible stair system that would not conflict with
Yeah,
the
the
secure,
transfer. Let me
you know,
go back.
transport.
Thank you for that. Okay, so the yellow would be the proposed elevator so that it wouldn't conflict with the inmate transfer. The stair though, let me go back there. the stair would have to be shared for that emergency egress from the tunnel.
Would the existing elevator still remain in that, or, and so there'd be just adding the second elevator that would be
Adding a-
non-secure?
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we threw in an allowance to help make that current elevator reprogrammed, I guess, from a security standpoint, to the bailiffs.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so that's option one. Option two, as we discussed, is that partial removal, so about 75% removal to keep some of the pieces of the existing facility. And so as you can see in the basement level, in this proposal, the new connection would be maintaining a part of the tunnel coming underneath the existing parking lot, and then keeping some of the storage pieces on the existing side of the facility. This is option two, first level. As you can see, by removing a portion of the existing building, the county would have the ability to either convert that space to a parking lot or a future building, if desired. But because we're removing a portion of the building, we'd still have to build back an exterior wall to essentially fill in what we'd be removing. And as indicated, this would be a portion of the building that would keep the kitchen. So the Sally Port would allow for 2 transport vehicles to pull in directly in and out. And so they'd be able to turn around and maintain judges parking along the Justice Center. And then the second level, there'd still be a portion of the existing building that would be maintained. I did want to note, though, in this option, in the basement level, there is a electrical switchgear and connection. And so that's a big component of this option, is that there's still going to be some mechanical and electrical rework that has to be done with this option. Anything else on option 2 that you guys can think of?
No, I think you nailed it.
Was it
You
approved?
know, similarly, elevator system to support, you know, that remaining space, and that upper level just probably becomes support for mechanical and electrical. There's really no leasable space on that small portion that would remain.
All right, let's go to. All right, so option 3. By removing the entire jail, the connection to the tunnel wouldn't necessarily be as important, but like Tom mentioned, we evaluated several different options to connect to the Justice Center. And this one we landed on just because it was directly connected, coming into the secure space. And then the first level is showing that there'd be one overhead door pull-in garage, but you'd be able to have 2 transport vehicles, one in front of the other. You can see there's a third shown, but it's a little tight in this configuration, but it's showing that it's a possibility. And so in this configuration, the parking could be pushed up and in more concentrated area where the existing jail is, because there's still going to be a little bit of exterior portion of the building that would have to be rebuilt. You can see that's shown as the new exterior wall. And it's just basically putting back what was before the jail was added on at that point in time. Anything else for option 3?
Not standalone, but attached, but it's just a clean new Sally Port transport. That seemed to be where the group landed on, you know, as we're showing on option 3 preferred, but, you know, we'll defer that to the folks that use it every day and to you all.
Any questions on the floor plans or options, or did we consider anything else?
Commissioner Winger?
I have one. Why so small on the Sally Port on the third one? I mean, are we not planning on doing a lot of transporting of people back and forth? Is it gonna be more online court, or what's the situation? Because on certain days, we're gonna need more than 2 vehicles, I would think, being able to be in there at a time, even more than 3.
That's a good question. Bureau Planner, would you be able to answer as far as the coordinating the timeline and if it's 2 times a day? And yeah, I appreciate that.
I've got the transport sergeant here with me. She's the guru to talk to, so.
So I think we are planning on going a lot more in person. And then a lot of times we also have federal courts that come in. We have juveniles that we have to bring in. I don't know if we'll go back to civil commitments coming in. So mental health, right now we do them Zoom, but there's a potential they could come in. So yeah, I agree. A little bit bigger for having that third vehicle to come in and out would be beneficial.
You know, we described with the group as well, they got the ability to pull out parking, can be like
Yep.
back if we had to as well. So that's an
Right.
option as
Yep.
well.
But the transport van.
Yep,
parking
we can
spot.
pull out and then, yeah, have another vehicle pull in also with this plan, so.
And yeah, just to remind you, those are vans, so they'd be a 12-person van coming back and forth, not just a squad. So that might help you a little bit more on also on numbers.
We plan on having 2 bigger vans to do the heavier court days in person. And then the rest of our fleet would be like traverses.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we weren't starting out too small.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to Commissioner Winger's question, these are conceptual designs to try to narrow down which option we want to go with. Once we as a board decide which option we want to go with, then we really get into Danielle's work on really making it the exact way we
Yeah,
want it. So this is really more of a conceptual, and so, yeah, we tossed this around in the DNO committee, but it was like, this is again, we didn't want to spend $2 million on KMA just to get a conceptual design that maybe the board wouldn't want. So this is pretty broad overview, so.
Thank you. That's a good point, though, because I was kind of thinking the same thing and look a little cramped, and we want to measure twice and cut once, and we're on the measuring in the beginning of the first at this point, so that's good. One of my questions is just how, at what point are we able to, do we have to wait till the new jail is totally done before we start working on this one, or how does that play into it pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goal would be to maintain the existing facility up until the point where you're ready to move inmates in. So we just.
I suspected, and this is the result that I was kind of anticipating, was that it was gonna make the most sense to just level it and start over, but go ahead, Commissioner Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess in my mind, from the DNO committee, we present these options today. And we just kind of think about it, and maybe about October, bring it back to the board where maybe constituents want to chime in on ideas. I believe Diane will have it up on the website, these plans. And so I think maybe sometime around October, once we're done with the budget, bring it back, because then while we're waiting for the new jail to be done, that's when Danielle and her group are going to be doing the hard work of working on whichever option as a board we come up with, and actually finalizing it, because that's going to take some time, but utilizing that time in there to nail down exactly what that'll look like. Does that make sense? So I think that'll give you a year to design that, almost, right? You know, before we have to actually break ground. And so just all the steps can be put into place, much like we did with the new jail.
And I would assume that these numbers are pretty liberal and that, so, I mean, otherwise, if our cheapest option was gonna be twice what our original amount was, I would have been, pretty concerned. Thankfully, our budget, our bids came in quite a bit under, and so we've got more cushion to work with for this. Otherwise, those first couple, option 1 and 2, wouldn't even been considered, and we would have been struggling to come up with the money for option 3, so we're fortunate in that regard, but I think that this is looking good.
To that point, correct, we still have within the overall $80 million endeavor, from the sales tax levy, 8.5 million carved out for whatever becomes of these options. So you're right, option 3 is well within that. We have within these numbers built in some contingencies. We built in some cost escalation. Timeline, I think as Commissioner Carlson pointed out, is to take some time, consider this, make a solid informed decision. Enter into architecture. We would always advise to try to, if this is gonna be a spring of 27, so move into the new jail, demo the old jail if that's the premise, and begin roughly May of 27. So bid that out winter 26, 27.
Yep.
We love that, and contractors and subs love that because then they're teed up for, spring something.
Great.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Sumner.
So, I appreciate the design and operations work on this. I'm sure it wasn't an easy task. I'm glad that Commissioner Carlson was graciously willing to take that on. But I'm kind of curious, so these are like the best of the best options that the group came up with? There isn't no possibility of having a fourth or a fifth option that one of us, might be able to present or tweak something with these options to present as the fourth option or anything like that. This is what we get, and we take it out to our community and ask them, which one do you like? How does that work?
Commissioner Carlson, I think would like to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Commissioner Sumner, I think the idea is to get this broad overview of, is it even feasible to keep the old jail? That was kind of the option 1. The other one is a partial. Now that partial could be anything we want that to be. But by laying out what would the partial look like, the way Danielle and KMA designed it, it would cost about that. If you left a little bit more of it, that would be a little bit difference in cost. The final design, once, I don't want to say this, once we decide as a board which way we're going to go, and from the DNO, the Design and Operations Committee will be presenting our recommendation. If that's not the way the board wants to go, then we can go back and say, well, the board really wants to, let's say the board wanted to do option 2 for whatever reason. Then we have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what are our different options within option 2? That would come back. So this idea is just conceptual to kind of get some idea of what it would cost to do partial, total, or keep. Is that helpful at all? So once we make a decision on one of these 3 options to retain, demolish, partial, or demolish entirely, then at that point, then we need to start honing in on the nuts and bolts.
So, Mr. Chair, what is our plan to get community input? Are we going to take it upon ourselves to ask our constituents, or is their input a factor in our decisions? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't really honestly know, as far as the community input on it. I mean, it has to fit within our budget first, and, that's me being a finance person, that's my first priority, and, we can't just, build anything that we want, and I also wonder and question how much we could do with an option 2 and building out, if that's even feasible for us to do, like if we rebuilt into a lease space and stuff, apparently it must be okay for us to use the sales tax dollars for that because of us, the way that we applied for it. But it's remodeling or demoing the old jail is part of the sales tax dollars. So I think that we need to certainly put it out there for the public. I don't know that we have to do a big survey like we did with the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we don't need to do a big survey, but, I think in order for this, project to happen, we were really asking for the community's support and input. And I think it's important that we continue to ask, for our community's input throughout the whole project, whether, I'm curious to know, what to do with the building because the community is curious too. They've been asking. So I think
Yep.
they deserve input or a say. And in my opinion, they deserve it. So it's trying to figure out, well, we can't ask them, and then cut them off when everything is kind of, said and done. So,
Mhm.
so I want to make sure that we continue to keep them involved in some way. So, whether them reaching out to us or us reaching out to them, I think it's important that we just listen anyways.
Yep.
Uh,
Thank you, Commissioner Sumner.
Thank you.
I think that in this scenario, the community probably cares more about us making good, efficient decision-making on it, and they're more curious probably than they are about wanting to necessarily provide input on what it is. There's a lot of details involved in a remodel. That's why we didn't remodel the jail to become a new jail in the first place. And we went through all those exercises and we did our due diligence, and I think we're in the process. The Design Operations Committee is doing their due diligence here and going through and trying to flesh out, here's some potential options. Here's what the numbers come in at. Here, knowing what we have to spend, it's, the writing's going to be on the wall, I think, at some point here of what we can afford to do. And, there could be some potential for option two. That would be pretty tight, but if we, I'd love to see if we could somehow make a daycare facility on the second floor there. But we got to live within our means too, and with our situation budget wise, I just question whether or not we would be able to do that with what we have. Pushing our max number there. So anyhow, any other questions for the group on this? We have anything else as far as this it for the presentation? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So I don't know if we want to go through every single line item here, but we just wanted to leave behind all the pros and cons. And so in general, the first option, you can see the pros listed is quite smaller than the con list. But as we discussed throughout, there's just a lot of challenges with keeping the existing building. An existing tunnel connection, and all the systems that have to be redone. Two, I think it's getting a little more balanced in terms of the pro and con list, but it's listed here, all the different things that were considered by the Design and Operation Committee for your review. And then the third, and that's the reason why it was the preferred option, not just because of the budgetary findings, but that it actually did provide a smoother court transfer. It provided some more opportunities on the site. Yeah, that's part of the reason of the preferred option.
It might be good to remember also in option two and really option three, you still retain the property space or, maybe a future building. And I think you tried to show that on each of the plans on how much square footage might be able to fit on that remaining portion of the site. So that's pretty attractive really when you think of it from a long-term 20-30-year plan.
Thanks for pointing that out. So that's why we had the totals listed there.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
One of the other things I think the design and operations team was also sensitive to is not just costs the county incurs as it relates to, say option one, holding almost 30,000 square feet of vacant space that we have to heat and cool and maintain and all of that sort of thing. We would have ongoing operational costs to do that. But the other part that we were considerate of is putting on the market potentially a ton of new leasable space in a market that seems already saturated in our community. I mean, we have the central school that's being advertised right now that there doesn't seem to be any interest in or very little. There's the federal building that also has an enormous amount of space. So we've got two big buildings that flank either side of this on the north and south that, aren't being leased or can't even be sold. And there's a number of spaces in town as well that are open commercial spaces. And so to put another close to 30,000 square feet of potentially leasable area on the market and strain businesses that rely on that also was something we were considerate of. So there's a number of things that we don't really have time to go into all the details about, but those are the types of things that the public may not know that we also considered. It's not just the least cost option. It's often much more than that, as it was in this case, that we considered.
Well, I certainly thought of the operational cost too, and would we, still be having to use the really old heating, air conditioning stuff in the current facility and trying to maintain all that, and that if we did option one, that just didn't seem feasible to even consider hardly. But this. It's just good to have looked at all the different options and do our due diligence on it.
Right.
So go ahead and continue on with the recommendations or anything that you have. Is that Commissioner Carlson, you have anything to add to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just that as a committee, we did recommend option 3. We felt that that was the most viable from a cost perspective. And I think just as Minister Barry mentioned, the upkeep, and moving forward. I think the other thing that's people haven't thought about is right now you can't even see the old courthouse, which is kind of a cool building. Once this is tore down, you'll actually get a better view of that old courthouse. It might be a small thing, but it's a thing. So there, all of those kinds of things we took into consideration. And I think that it gives us plenty of room if the board decides. And again, I think we should wait till October, maybe the first meeting in October. That'll give anyone, to Commissioner Summer's point, anyone that's really interested is probably already listening today. They're going to be asking questions that we can direct them to the website and say, well, these are the ideas and here's the pros and cons, and just the same presentation that we got to see here. And that allows folks to give us a call, give us an email, to call Administrator Barry, whatever, and give us some input so that by the time October rolls around, we'll have hopefully heard from anybody that really wants to have input. They'll get it. We'll get their input. And this gives them plenty of time to do that.
That's a good point. Thank you, Commissioner Carlson. And I think that as far as option 2, we certainly wouldn't want to just dump that much space on the market. It would have to be something where we had a need, either from the community or from the county or both, in order to make it make sense, in my opinion, to do something like that. We certainly wouldn't want to just incur that additional cost and hope for the best. So, Commissioner Sumner, did you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, looking at my calendar, can we do it the second meeting of October? I mean, we're in the second meeting of August, so it gives a couple of months, so.
Yeah, whenever.
Thank you.
Yep, that's something.
The only thing is, we just kind of you're hoping to get a decision by the first of the year. That was the whole point. And then we didn't want to have to, and we wanted to make sure there was plenty of time.
Sure.
So even if you wanted to wait till November, it's not going to be whatever.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Should we move on should we try to flesh out some schedule of some tours then? We've got plenty of time here since we had the cancellation on our budget, or our agenda, I should say. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we're all pretty busy, but I'd kind of like to see it be on a day that we already have our board meeting so we can do that first. I mean, I don't know how long these tours are going to take. Are they an hour? Are they 2 hours?
What do you think, Gary? I mean, do you have how long it take?
Oh, it's not gonna take long right now, or depending when we do it. But
Yeah.
say an hour, block an hour out.
I'd prefer that just so I don't have to give up another day to come to something, and we could go there first and then, and then here.
What the
That's
rest of
just
you
my
think that
opinion.
would,
That'd be helpful.
you'll have school, so.
That'd be helpful for me.
It would, okay. So how about you, Commissioner Sumner? Would that be a good idea for you? No, okay. So I know you said that Fridays would work better. We typically have our meetings on Tuesdays. Is that workable or not? Okay.
How many would there be? Would it
It'd
be?
probably be most of us, yeah.
Not talking more than 10 people.
No.
Well, Mr. Chair, I mean, it would have to be advertised as an open meeting, correct? So there could
There
potentially
could be others that would want to, yeah.
Yeah,
I would expect that you'd have media there, a couple few interested citizens. Anytime anybody gets a peek at a construction site, particularly a jail, there might be some interest. So we'd need to be prepared for that. Typically, you don't have a huge crowd, but you could expect maybe, I've done this on a city hall building one time. We had probably 25 to 30 that were on a tour. I wouldn't think any more than that. So I would say maybe plan for maybe 8 to 18 or something like that.
Okay, we'll plan on that. I'll just plan on 25.
Okay.
I'll make sure I have PPE for everyone.
And if you split folks up, that's okay. We can have, we generally want to try to keep together as much as we can because, we want the public to be able
We're
to.
gonna have to, especially if we're gonna do it Tuesday during work hours.
Okay,
And I wanna have a little chat with everybody first.
sure.
We don't want any stragglers. You could be there as well, maybe Steve. Meeting day?
Wondering if we should be doing it as a complete board and doing the,
It'll be on a commission meeting.
and everything.
So we're alternating right
Especially
now.
if we're gonna do it
remember?
multiple times, so maybe that's not the smartest way to do it.
Dangerous.
Yeah, I
Not that
think-
we're a dangerous group, but
Yeah.
people that aren't used to that climate.
Yeah, so, hard hats, safety vests, those types of things are all sort of in order for those types of
Just
tours.
Wondering if if we're gonna do the multiple tours, if it is smart for us to try to do it all as a board, or if we should just try to schedule for us to do it more individually and not have it be a big interruption to Gary several times in the process here. I don't know, what's the board's thought on that?
I'd rather see us together still.
Yeah,
That's fine. It'd be nice if we could keep it with smaller groups instead of 25,
Right.
Yeah.
Group of 10 or something.
I think what'll be important is for the board to identify the time period that you want, or the interval, or the milestone that you want to view, right? You don't want to be doing this every 2 months. There's probably just not near enough change.
Right.
It'll be kind of wasteful, for the staff and for you. So I think, maybe I would lean to KA based on our timeline that we threw up in front of the board. What would be typically the milestones that we'd want the board to sort of see as they're finished, or maybe as they're started? I don't think you'd probably want, honestly, more than 4 total meetings over the lifespan of the project. That seems like a lot. That's every 6 months or so at the pace that we're on right now. But, you could ask for more if you'd like. And then there is, just as Commissioner Gosvick said, you all could do more if you wanted individually, if you had an interest. Certainly the DNO team will be out there a lot, more than that. And John, as Mr. Carlson, as our liaison to the board, can also update you on things like that. And maybe there are additional information that can come with quarterly presentations and those types of things, so you don't feel like you have to be there. But those are just some suggestions for your consideration.
Typically what I do is, like right now, and we've got trenches everywhere, there's a lot of obstacles and it's not a good time. Usually the first tour I do is once we have floors. Then we have easy access everywhere. We don't have all the holes, we don't have all the dangers. We still have dangers, but not as many. If you want to come before we have floors, it'd be nice if it could be like after that 3 o'clock, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe. Because then the crane's done swinging precast panels for the day, things like that, Well, we've got trucks backing in, there's just a lot of activity. But floors usually is the first time, and then the next time is after we get missed metals, stairways in, so we can actually access second floor without having to climb ladders and all that with a group of people. That can be tough for some.
Yeah, where do you think it'd be at, by that October 19th commission meeting day? Would you have half the floors possibly in? Or
Yeah,
more?
we should have half the floors anyway. Depends on roof, and I think we can push the roof faster.
Yeah, so that might be a good opportunity to see the building before the cells come in, because it'll be, more open. Once those cells come in, it's gonna be very, you know, specific to each pod, to each area. So that might be something to consider, that October 19th, and then maybe fast forward into January.
Yeah, we can all.
Or February.
Be on all the floors before.
And
we
Mr.
should
Chair,
have enough most metals in.
sure, I think that sounds like a good plan. I just wanted to clarify, October 19th would be Sunday, so we would probably want to think about if it's going to be on board meeting day, October 21st. I think maybe, I know it's hard, you don't have the calendar in front of you, so. But maybe October
Yep.
21st, and then, you know, maybe like a February or March kind of time frame. Maybe even April, depending upon how much you've gotten done then. And then once it's really going on interiors, then it's gonna be a lot of just, it's not gonna look like, once the walls are up and stuff, there's gonna be a lot of finish work that's gonna be
Right.
not real exciting to go that frequently, until the end. Then it's very exciting. But
Well, whatever works
So-
for you guys.
Should we, does the board want to tentatively plan on their second meeting in October to meet at the job site at like 1 o'clock, or would that be enough time? Well, probably might even have to be, might have to even be earlier than that if we're gonna be able to get done and get to here by 3.
Back and forth.
Right, before our meeting here, we have to be here by 3 and ready to roll here at 3, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Carlson?
maybe Administrator Barry could speak to this better, but if we just dedicated that, Commissioner Sumner wanted to wait until that second meeting in October to talk about the reuse. Maybe we could meet at 2. I don't know, would that be a hardship for you, Joe, with school? And then so split up some of that work session time. So maybe, so if it bleeds over into 3:30, and then we just come back from there and come here and have a much limited agenda. And maybe if we keep the agenda almost entirely to the jail unless something else has come up that has to be done.
Mr. Chair, just a thought, we have to post the meeting location, and so, and the time that we're meeting there. So we have 2 different locations. We'd want to be clear about when we would be at the second location, if possible. Unless like we do on the road tour, it's a tour and we publish like we're going to all these different places and then that sort of thing. But that could certainly work. What, Commissioner Carlson's saying, we could start at 2 and go from 2 to 3:30 if you wanted to, and then start the meeting here at 3:45, for example. Hard to know at this point in time what we're teeing up for that agenda. We've had some fairly full agendas so far, but you know, we can work out those details. If you want to just hold us a spot, say at 1:30, and then just let staff, we'll just work on arranging it all, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think that, you know, especially if we end up with a bigger group with media and everything else there, that we'd want to give ourselves more time than less time. I would think we'd probably want 1 o'clock at the latest to be at the job site there. By the time we go through the safety stuff and everything else and the actual tour with that big of a group potentially, I just, you know, I don't want us to be trying to rush through the tour just so we can get back to our work session in time. So that's just my thoughts on what the rest of the board feels. Commissioner Sumner?
Mr. Chair, maybe we'll just do the October 21st meeting. Let the staff and the design and operation figure that out, and we'll kind of look forward to, you know, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, whatever. Just let
Whatever.
them figure it out and just dedicate that second meeting in October to the jail update. So.
That sounds good to everybody? Yep. Let's go for that.
That will work.
Okay. Great. Well, it's glad to hear everything's going well, and knock on wood that it stays that way. And, you know, it's really, really cool to see it all coming together like it is. So great work. Thank you. Right. Yep. And we'll look forward to seeing the tour.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. That brings us to administrator's update. Tom? Wow us with an administrator update.
Thank you. I can talk really slow since we have a lot of time here, or I can just add a bunch of stuff to it, but no, I'll just keep it like we had planned. So you've gotten a pretty good briefing on the jail project, both the new jail and the current jail. One of the things that we didn't touch on was some exciting news related to the jail project, and that's our first change order. Change orders are those types of things that we usually dread because they're usually pretty expensive. You see contractors name their the dinghy, the contract, and their main yacht, the change order, right? I mean, you see those pictures all the time because change orders is usually where a lot of folks make their money. I'm happy to say that the first change order that we're processing will be a deductive change order on the amount of about $300,000. Most of that comes from value engineering that the design and operations team, along with the experts that we have hired, including the subcontractors, have identified, principally around utilizing different prime painted steel embeds for the precast concrete instead of the galvanized, making adjustments to the generator enclosure using aluminum electrical conductors for the 3/0 and larger sizes instead of wasting money on copper, for example. Utilizing a different interview room recording system, those types of things that we've just looked at. And some of these come from our design and operations team. Some of it comes from value engineering from the architect and the construction manager, and in some cases, the subs. So that's really good news. It won't stay like that. I mean, you should expect like change orders are going to come higher, they're going to come down, they're going to go all over. But so far, that's a good one to have as your first change order. I want to also move on then to the storm update. As you know, the county, along with 6 other counties in a tribal nation, participated in preliminary damage assessment that was required of the state in order for us to determine whether we were going to be eligible for the disaster assistance contingent account. As you all know, that we did receive that designation, which is very good. Our county emergency management office continues to work with those other jurisdictions to help process and provide logistics for applicant briefings. And the state emergency declaration, as you may know, has that we issued has now expired. So we had that extension, which was good, but it's no longer needed essentially once we got the disaster assistance contingency designation. So for Beltrami County, we will receive 75% of the initial costs. And that extends also to the other jurisdictions that are participating with us. We have estimated so far and have captured $8.3 million worth of eligible damages. And we were short by about $800,000 in meeting the federal designation. So we will not be getting the additional amount reimbursed by the federal government because we weren't able to meet the thresholds. So since that's all definitive now, we were kind of thinking that was where it was heading, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that that is actually where it ended up. Next, I was going to talk with you a little bit about the Human Resources Director transition. As you know, our Human Resources Director has given her resignation. Her last day will be September the 3rd. So we immediately posted the position on August the 1st, and we've put it as open until filled, but with the first review after 3 weeks. So that will be about August 21st. To date, the posting has received about 794 views, and we have 22 applicants. And of those 22 applicants, only 2 do not meet the required qualifications. So that's good. The position, we took a little bit more aggressive stance in advertising and marketing the position than we typically would. So we've reached further. Remember the last time we tried to fill this position, we had to go 3 rounds before we could get the position filled. So I'm hopeful that this will be a one and done sort of situation. It does seem like we have some pretty good applicants in the pool so far. As we move into the next phase, which will be evaluation of resumes and credentials and that kind of stuff, we will then select candidates for interview. And we would like to run a very similar process to the last time we filled this position. And that would be to have 2 panels composed of making the hiring team. And on each panel, we would like to have one of the commissioners attend if possible. So I'd be looking for volunteers, and then we can coordinate with you offline to your availability and start getting those scheduled. What I don't want to do is delay. It's hard to find good talent, and people sometimes are impatient and waiting for a particular job. So we want to get them while they're interested and available. So are there 2 commissioners willing to sit on the committee and help out on that?
Looks like if there are others, not Commissioner Winger and Carlson are both expressing that they're willing to do it. Anybody else?
Do we have a personnel committee?
There is a
Yep.
personnel committee. It's 3 people, and that personnel committee does not do this type of work. It does other work. But yeah, there is a personnel committee.
And that there is a commissioner on the personnel
There
committee?
is, yep. Commissioner Gosvig is on the personnel committee, and that committee does a number of different things, but probably like addressing grievances as they rise up through the appeals process, and probably most notably deal with union negotiations.
So it looks like we've got Commissioners Winger and Carlson are volunteering to.
Fantastic.
To do
Thank
that?
you both. We'll reach out to you and try to get something scheduled here fairly soon. All right, moving on to budget. The budget committee has completed its work. Was pretty tough. I think those who are on the committee will acknowledge. We started with a preliminary levy at the budget committee of around 13.5% or so. The good news is we got the levy under 10%, which was the directive of the board. The bad news is that it's not by much. So we are refining those numbers as we plug everything into the system. And we will have for you the final number for the preliminary budget here by the September 2nd commission or board meeting. So we'll make a presentation about all of that at that point in time. Speaking of union negotiations, negotiations are proceeding slower than we had expected. Most of this is due to scheduling conflicts, it seems, on both sides. So this is sometimes to be expected, particularly when you negotiate during the summer. People got plans and vacations and all that sort of thing. So we're not alarmed by this. We have met with 6 units so far, and meetings are scheduled right now out into October. The potential challenge here is that since the preliminary budget will have to be published and approved along with the levy by September 30th, whatever gets set at that point in time is all that the board will have to work with in regard to negotiations with the union. So that's just something to consider there. And then lastly, just a reminder that September 1st is a holiday. And so, major county offices will be closed on that day in observance of Labor Day. So that's all I had for you, but I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Gould?
Tom, could you remind me how far out the emergency declaration went until or goes until?
Ooh, it would be expiring here in
Yeah,
just
it's going-
the
I
end
think
of
it
this
was-
week, I think.
I thought it was 2 weeks. We had it for 2 weeks and then extended we had it for a month and then extended another 2 weeks, I believe.
Do we
No.
anticipate any storm-related costs after that would be eligible for reimbursement?
You do have some eligibility there, but not for like the federal thing, because that's done. So we wouldn't
Not
be able to
federal,
add
no.
to that. But
Just
on the
state.
state side, you do have 2 years to
Oh,
collect and assess, because some of the costs are still being incurred, like we're
Yeah,
still doing debris
right.
management right now and that sort of stuff. Right, but
Okay.
by the thresholds are by certain time periods, and so by those time periods, if we didn't have a certain threshold, then that sort of stops the eligibility for certain types of funding. But yeah, we should have that.
sounds good.
One thing that Administrator Barry didn't mention is that our local representatives, I know Beltrami is still going to present and try to get the remaining 25% from DACA. He's going to, keep working for us there to try to get the additional 25%. The governor, when he was here, sounded like he was interested in doing that. It hasn't. This wouldn't be the precedent setting. It has happened before. So, certainly any contacts that you have, reach out and try to encourage them to pass the additional 25% from DACA.
Okay.
So,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Sumner, yep.
in regards to the storm, I think when we had, the department heads here, I was talking about, the compensation for the emergency management director. I'm curious, has there been any overtime payment or any discussions about how to compensate for that, and would that be reimbursable?
So, Mr. Chair, there have not been any internal conversations of depth on this. One of the things I will caution the board is that that position, as valuable as it is, and as valuable as that staff member is, that is the nature of that position. You have a lot of staff that go above and beyond in their current positions when times are tough, that we don't single out and compensate. COVID was an entirely different situation that impacted everybody, and for a very long time. This is a bit different. Emergency managers are, I'm not trying to devalue the position or the person or any of that. I just want to mention that that is the nature of the job. And so I think you set potentially a precedent if you travel down that road when the job duties are included, that activities that the individual undertakes are included in the job duties that are being compensated for.
And we did pay actual overtime to all the hourly staff.
Correct.
And so that is, they have been additionally compensated for their extra hours.
That is true.
It's only the one or few positions potentially that are, salaried positions that had to go above and beyond. But like you said, that is part of the job description.
Correct.
And Mr. Chair, I understand that, and I think maybe, I don't know if it's a benefit or not of being, in this position for as long as I have been. There are a time or two that we have, the board at the time has did just that. And understanding that, we're a different board than we were 6 years ago, a different administrator than there was 6 years ago. I just want to bring up the question and seeing if there was anything that was done. So, I mean, if there was a precedent set, maybe there was a number of years ago. So, again.
I recall that too,
yeah.
Commissioner Sumner.
So it's just, if we're gonna, yeah, just want to bring it up. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions for Administrator Barry? So seeing none, we'll get, everybody's already reviewed the bills, and anything on the consent agenda that anybody is wanting to have pulled for the regular meeting? Now would be the time. Everything looks good there. Okay. Then we will have a little extra time here for a break in between. We will adjourn until 5 o'clock.
Should we do a picture?
A picture with that?
Be a good press release.